JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Steel Ball Run is truly JoJo's most bizarre adventure. Set in a completely different universe than parts 1 through 6, part 7 is a fresh start or a hard reset to the JoJo's series, and boy does it feel like it. Reading Steel Ball Run was like taking the freshest breath of air of all time. From reworking and reintroducing concepts and characters from the original universe to creating an entirely new power system, Araki puts his all into Steel Ball Run and it shows. Enough with the intro, let's talk about it. To start things off, I want to go over our new JoJo for this part, Jonathan Joestar. Johnny. Obviously, I'm not saying these two are the same character in any aspect. It's definitely a homage to the OG JoJo, since this is a start to a new continuity. Johnny is, in my opinion, the second best main JoJo in the entire series, only being slightly behind Josuke for me. Johnny is such a good fucking character, man. He feels so different from every other Joestar and I absolutely love it. He's selfish, an asshole, pretty depressive, and most importantly, he is human. He was popular and wealthy, and due to his own selfish and arrogant actions, he messed up and lost everything, and I feel for him. For a little while into part 7, I was kind of indifferent to Johnny. I always liked him, and there was never a point where I didn't, but I couldn't say anything I'm saying about him right now. That was until I witnessed Johnny's dark determination against Ringo Road again. This, for me at least, is where Johnny started to really show his strength and just how serious and cold he can be. I'm gonna stop here before I end up talking about Johnny all day. Maybe someday I'll give him his own video, but that's for another time. He's seriously one of the best Joestars and just one of the best characters in JoJo's overall. Gyro Zeppeli is the best character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay, let's backtrack for a second. I think Gyro is a true showing of Araki's evolution as a writer. He is the perfect combination of William Zeppeli from part 1 and Caesar Zeppeli from part 2, making him both a mentor and a rival slash best friend for Johnny. His entire demeanor and how he carries himself is just so interesting. He can be a stoic badass one moment, and then he can be a clown singing a song about cheese the next. Gyro's motivations for entering the Steel Ball Run race show you just how much of a good person he truly is, and how he acts accordingly due to the beliefs that fuel that goal. Gyro sticks to his guns no matter what, even if it would eventually cause his tragic yet not unexpected death. This is my favorite character in all of JoJo's, and probably my favorite character design in JoJo's, finally dethroning part 3 Jotaro for me. The hat, the cape, the grill, bro. Look at the fucking grill. He has his name on his teeth. That's hard.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
His belt buckle resembles the Lucky Land Communications logo that we primarily see on Jotaro's hat, which is fitting because Gyro inherits aura. Not literally inherited, but in like a spiritual way. He inherits aura, not Johnny, at least not at first. And I get that it may just be a battle cry, but aura is such a huge part of JoJo's at this point, and it's so cool that Gyro gets to say it first in this manga. His weird ass rectangle beard is pretty cool, for some reason, and the steel balls are just one of the coolest weapons in manga. I knew Gyro's fate from the very second I met him. I had 70 plus chapters to brace myself, and I still could not have prepared for the inevitable Zeppeli fate to take him away. I love this character so much, and I genuinely think he is one of Araki's greatest creations. I want to briefly talk about Lucy Steele, because I consider her to be one of the best female characters in all of JoJo's, because she just went through so much in this part. In an attempt to keep her husband safe, she ends up getting involved in a conspiracy involving Stan users, the President of the United States, and the corpse of a saint. And she is only 14 years old, going through this much and putting herself in unimaginable amount of danger in order to protect her husband who was being used. Her will and resolve is so strong that I could feel it through the damn pages, and I was genuinely rooting for her in every situation she found herself in. I just think she's one of the strongest characters in JoJo's. Funny Valentine, the President of the United States of America, is one of, if not the best villain in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He exists within this gray line of moral ambiguity that made me realize that he isn't necessarily wrong, but just going about his goal in the wrong way. Valentine really makes me think about who exactly is in the wrong here. Is it Johnny who wants the corpse for his own benefit, or is it Valentine who wants the corpse's power to protect the country that he leads? In the moment, I was of course cheering for Johnny and Gyro, since I had been following them this entire time, but after I finished and was doing some thinking before writing this video, I began to wonder if I myself was really on the right side here, and to be honest, I still don't know. Design wise, I really love Valentine. He struts around in a bright ass pink suit like he's that guy, which he is. I mean, he's the damn president. And the scars on his back he got from being tortured forming the American flag is probably one of the best character design choices I've ever seen. I think the stands in part 7 are some of the coolest in the series, and I think they're utilized very well. Tusk is a very cool stand, and it borrows a trait from one of my other favorites, Echoes. I love the way it evolves as Johnny's character develops, and represents how Johnny gains his ability to walk again through its various forms, eventually becoming the behemoth that is Tusk Act 4. Tusk being directly related to Spin is very cool as well. D4C, or Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, is one of my favorite villain stands because it is simple, broken but simple. None of that King Crimson shit. Except in its introductory chapter, which is meant to be confusing as hell in the first place. D4C introduces the multiverse in the JoJo's, being able to connect to neighboring dimensions, allowing the user, being Funny Valentine, to travel through them, and even being able to grant technical immortality, since Valentine can swap places with any of the infinite versions of him that exist in the multiverse. D4C has an evolved version as well, and it's actually just an invincible stand unless you are Tusk Act 4 or Ballbreaker. D4C Love Train redirects any misfortune that could come to Valentine into another universe, rendering him invincible. Then there's Poco Loco stand Hey Ya, which is basically just a hype man. I like the idea of a stand that doesn't really do anything but give you positive encouragement and boost your morale, thus boosting your natural luck in some way. Sandman stand in a silent way is a very nice reworking of Echoes Act 2 from part 4 without being a complete carbon copy. Scary monsters let you turn yourself and other organisms into fucking dinosaurs. Then there's Cream Starter, which is kinda OP if you think about it. Being able to heal your own wounds and even disguise yourself or other people for damn near free with a spray bottle of flesh is kinda creepy. You can cover your opponent's face in like a shell of flesh and suffocate them to death. And then there's the world, yes. It comes back and I love it. The stands are just utilized so well here. The Spin is such a cool power system that pays a nice tribute to Hamon being incredibly versatile in the ways it can be used. I really love the decision to have stands and the Spin exist simultaneously because it kinda dilutes the amount of pure stand battles there are by a lot, since we follow Johnny who uses both the Spin and the stand, and Gyro who only uses Spin. This makes for some very interesting fights like the fight versus Wekapipo and Magenta, which is probably one of my favorites in the part. Spin in and of itself is so interesting because it's an ability anyone could use in theory, but only a few could ever bring it to its upper limits, being the golden rectangle and eventually the infinite spin, which is just broken. It feels like a reimagining of Hamon that got expanded on way more in one part than Hamon did in 4, or is it 3? I genuinely don't remember if Joseph used Hamon in part 4, because that's just how forgotten it became. Overall, I think the Spin was a wonderful addition to the story, and I hope we get to see more of it when I read JoJolian. Earlier when I said that Steel Ball Run is truly JoJo's most bizarre adventure, I meant it. Here, listen to this description. A paraplegic horse jockey and a guy with the sickest grill you've ever seen embark on a race across America that culminates in a fight with the President of the United States. Jesus Christ. Is that Jesus Christ? Seriously, this feels like a more fun part 3 given its focus on a grand adventure across a long distance. There aren't any pointless stand battles in part 7 and every fight has a reason to happen. And the times where there is nothing going on, we're either learning more about our main characters, such as how a daily Johnny and Gyro routine would play out, or there's a development in the secondary plot with the other racers or our villain. The story is always moving in SBR. I think the characters in Steel Ball Run feel real, and their interactions are just a treat to read. As far as the actual plot goes, I think it's one of the most solid JoJo's parts story-wise. I think maybe my only complaint is that Gyro died. Okay, I'm kidding. But I don't really have any problems with Steel Ball Run. I think this part is genuinely perfect. Given that the only parts I've read instead of watched are 1 and obviously 7, I don't have much experience with the manga art of JoJo, so I can't really comment on Araki's artistic evolution to its full extent. But I can say that the art in this manga is absolutely spectacular. I already love the JoJo's art style, but the art in SBR just enhanced my love for it by 100 times. Everything from the character poses to the paneling and the action shots is just simply amazing here. To end things off, I want to not necessarily give my thoughts because that's what I've been doing this whole time, but I want to explain what this part has done to me. Steel Ball Run single-handedly pushed JoJo's from my top 10 all the way up to my top 5 anime and manga of all time. Before starting SBR, I was always iffy about reading the JoJo's manga because I love the style of the anime so much, but now I might just straight up prefer the manga. This is truly one of the greatest experiences I've ever had reading a manga. 10 out of 10, everybody should read this, truly peak fiction. Alright, outro time. Part 7 was very, very good. I loved Part 7 a lot. It's very easily my second favorite JoJo part, besides Part 4. Yeah, I love Part 4. I have a strong Part 4 bias, so I don't think that's going anywhere, but I have started JoJolion. I'm like 2 or 3 chapters in by the time I'm recording this outro. And it's looking pretty good. Looking very, very different than the other one. So I'm excited to get into that. So whenever I do get around to finishing that, I'm going to be a review for that as well. And then again, Part 9 is still, it just started. I think there's still only 1 chapter out. But yeah, JoJo's really is just one of my favorite series of all time now, and I don't think it'll ever be replaced by anything else, because I don't think anything could ever match JoJo's. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.
So can't handle us, so cool, baby, scandalous. I'll show you.